Welcome back. We're discussing the coverage of Palestinian and Israeli affairs with Amira Hass, the only Jewish Israeli journalist to live in the occupied Palestinian territories. She writes for the Israeli daily newspaper Haaretz. I want to talk about the Gaza war, the last war. You covered that war, didn't you? But you weren't actually there.
No, I could have been, but because I entered Gaza in November and I intended to stay till January 2009. But unfortunately, 3 weeks after my arrival, the Hamas authorities decided it was enough for them, and they kicked me out. And unlike in Arafat times, when there was flexibility, under Hamas there is no flexibility. And my friends tried to prevent this from happening. They did not succeed, and I was kicked out.
So it was Hamas that kicked you out?
Yes, the second time, yeah.
Well, you know, there's been a report that's been produced on the war right now. The inquiry was led by Judge Richard Goldstone, who is South African.
Yeah.
And the report blames both sides for committing war crimes.
Yes.
It says Hamas committed war crimes and so did the Israelis. He's come under a lot of criticism, both in Israel and even here in the United States. I want you to listen to what Judge Richard Goldstone said in response to that criticism. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look.
I would say the overwhelming majority of the critics haven't read the report. And you know, what proves that, I think, is the level of criticism doesn't go to the substance of the report. There still haven't been responses to the really serious allegations that are made.
Yeah.
What did you make of Judge Goldstone's report?
I haven't read it yet either.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want, but there were many things that, of course, we've met with he met with the very same people that I had met a few months before, of course.
Right.
And his was a team, I was on my own, but I glanced, of course, and I did look at some things, and I read the recommendations. My problem in general with the human rights approach is that it makes a symmetry between the occupied and the occupier. I think the whole report is very important because it forced Israelis for the first time to really seriously not to want to talk, but consciously about what happened, because everything was there from before. I mean, my reports, I mean, I was the only Israeli to give really eyewitness reports being in Gaza immediately after the attack. The onslaught, I managed to get to Gaza again. For 5 months I stayed there. But also Israeli human rights organizations published very important reports, and during the attack itself they are people who gave a lot of very valuable information. The Israelis just didn't want to look at it. They dismissed it, and I mean, just as if it's air. Only when some soldiers started to speak out, and not very accurate,
right,
did some Israelis. So this is very important that Goldstone forces it on the Israeli public and on Israeli public debate. Without their will, it forces upon them. But my problem is that this symmetry. I think there is a lot to criticize Hamas and the PA and the Palestinians in general for, a lot to criticize. But when you come and say that, for me this also, I cannot call it war. It's not, for me it's not a war. It's like what I see is a group of Native Americans or Red Indians, let us use that term, fighting science fiction weapons. So I don't understand even what war can it be. I think that the criticism of the Palestinians should be on different grounds. What they do as a liberation movement to liberate, is this fake armed struggle that they are staging for years already? Also the PA and Fatah did it since 2000. Does it bring them any closer to liberation, or does it actually serve Israeli goals? Morality should be discussed. I think that morality is a very important instrument in the hands of oppressed peoples. We should not dismiss it. But there is so much violence about the occupation that I think is so much ingrained, entrenched violence. Not only when you use weapons, but about everything. Keeping Gaza as a huge detention camp for so many years. It's just violence, without shooting, without killing people. So this is, and he did relate to the fact of the terrible siege on Gaza. But I feel that the language of human rights makes makes the symmetry too easy.
Well, let's go to the phones again. We have Jamila calling from South Africa. Jamila, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, and Amira. Amira, you once wrote that the written word has failed the Palestinian people. So if a picture paints 1,000 words, then let the pictures roll on. Did the 22-day war actually do this for you?
Sorry?
Okay.
What was the question?
Well, I think the point she was trying to make there was the pictures of the war.
Yeah.
Of course, Al Jazeera covered that war extensively. We were the only network in there at the time. Did it do its job of telling the world what was going on there?
Not entirely, because I think they because the words, there were so many words which try, on both sides, and here I say on both sides, which try to give representations of the reality, that people remained very confused. And also the cameras did not reach everywhere.
Right.
So we did not see what kind of battles. Both the Israeli army and the Hamas want to claim that there were fierce battles going on. Now we doubt it, according to what we saw. So I don't think that the cameras here really gave the true picture.
Okay, Amira, I want to get this in. We just have about a minute and a half left. You received this Lifetime Achievement Award from the International Women's Media Foundation this week, earlier on. This is something that you said in your speech at that award ceremony. We can look at it right now.
What is so generously termed today by the International Women's Media Foundation as my lifetime achievement needs to be corrected, because it is failure. Nothing more than a failure, a lifetime failure.
Well, my question is, why do you think it was a failure?
I ended with a it is a failure because I could not fight what I term the peace process terminology with real facts, with the real facts that depict the reality which I described before. And this is a failure. That the words still are used, dissymmetry, terrorism, occupation the word occupation has been completely obliterated from the general talk. You talk about the Palestinian Authority as if it were a Palestinian state, a free state, as if Palestinians don't live anymore under occupation. This is really a failure.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. We've run out of time. Thank you very much for joining us, Amira Hass, and congratulations on your prize. And thank you for being with us. Remember, you can download our past shows as podcasts on iTunes. This week we're featuring our discussion on the Afghan political stalemate and the scheduled runoff elections next month. We will see you next time on the Riz Khan Show. Do join us then.